Now I consider another case study I will share with you. Okay, so you must have heard of this law firm called Trust Legal, and this story was shared to me by Sudhir Mishra, who is the founder of this law firm. So what happened is that Sudhir was basically a young lawyer with very little resources, and he did not have too many matters at that time. He got an opportunity from a class friend or college friend, I don't exactly remember, who was involved in, who was a forest officer, and he called him to see a matter or help in a matter, and the matter involved some, I believe from what I faintly remember, was export or import of some animal goods which was getting exported or imported, and he wanted some which was caught by the forest officials, and they wanted to know how to make the case watertight so that the criminals are punished. And he gave his inputs, and then he realized that all these forest officials need legal information and knowledge which they do not have access to, and he started training them. And over couple of years he trained almost 200 forest officials across India. Okay, and this built his initial connection with this industry, and suddenly he started getting matters referred to him by all this large network of 200 forest officials, even people who needed legal support, even government work, different kind of work started coming to him. He started building relationship in the, even up to the ministry, and it really helps when you have this base and you have helped. So basically it's a pro bono work. Even when you're educating them, if you're doing a workshop for forest officials, that is pro bono work. And if you are helping them out in a matter that they need, they may not have a budget always, but you help them out to put the right guys behind the bar or make a watertight case, that is pro bono work, right? And by doing that work you build tremendous goodwill. So eventually his firm initially was working on environmental matters. It slowly got into healthcare. So initially he started working with all the mines, working with different companies which need environmental clearances and support. He worked on all of that. Having the right connections, having the knowledge, all of that was of great help. Then slowly he built his law firm into that, and then he worked on healthcare laws in a similar way. Now imagine the pro bono work, the way it can build a practice. It's a tremendous strategy. It is a tremendous strategy for building professional networks, tremendous strategy to build face value and support base, okay, which can then lead to powerful situation. You have to find a void where there is such a void. And when you are not charging anything, is a tremendously good way to enter that market. Okay, so this is one example. Today Trust Legal is a massive law firm with lots of lawyers and doing lots of different kind of work, but that was the beginning, right? And so for example, Onkar, if your target group is manufacturing, there would be would be having their problems that that they might not be even addressing right now. They may not even know that they have the problem. But when you start maybe organizing a helpline, so if I was in your line of work, I might set up a helpline. So I had set up a helpline for a long time for people who face sexual blackmail, not harassment, I'm sorry, sexual blackmail. Then I had a helpline for people who are not paid salary on time by their employers. Okay, and employers is cheating them out of the salary. I used to run a helpline. Eventually I had to shut it down because I was getting too many calls and I couldn't handle, and my line of work doesn't really match with that. I still, I think I have some process. I start, instead of making it free, I started charging 500 rupees, and then just to reduce the number of calls, because I couldn't, it's not the 500 rupees is not important. I couldn't handle so many calls. So I said, if anybody wants to call me, at least pay me 500 rupees. And while the money is not important for me, the volume was impossible for me to handle. So this kind of reduced. So if somebody is very serious and they really want help, they only call me. And but if I was a lawyer, I would not even charge that money. I let people call me because everybody is a potential lead. They might have one. If I give them good advice, there's a high chance that they'll give me more work. So you can think of setting up a helpline. Helpline is an excellent way of doing this. You might want to even have a junior filter some of those calls to know that which calls to take forward, which not to take forward. Okay, so this is one idea. So if my target group is manufacturing, then one of the one of the idea that I have is that, I can have a helpline for people who need tax advice on this kind of situation. They can call me, so I can build a relationship with them. The other idea is, of course, to kind of offer a clinic. So if you know that there's a certain area where a lot of these manufacturers are, you can every Sunday or Saturday, you can have like a 2-hour session where all of these people can come in, get your advice or do a talk, whatever, and leave. You can also, sometimes they have, there would be like a industry body. Okay, there will be an industry body, or there would be some association of those industries or those kind of organizations. Then what you can do is that you can provide your services pro bono to such organizations. So I'll give an example. The other time we used to we created sexual harassment training softwares, sexual harassment compliance softwares. So we wanted to sell it to all the technology companies. So what we did, we went and found NASCOM, and we told NASCOM that you have 2,000 employees, you also need this software. How about we provide it to you free of cost, and in return you recommend it us to all your members. And NASCOM did that, and because NASCOM did that, we got actually we got clients like Samsung, we got clients like Feedback Infrastructure, we got clients like Microsoft. They all came to us because NASCOM recommended us to them. And all it took was to we had to give this software for free of cost to NASCOM. So I'm saying you can even adopt such a strategy. So for example, if you are working with, let's say, export import companies, you might want to be the pro bono service provider to the export import organization. There'll be a lot of organizations which are like, associations of exporter importers, and you can provide your services free to this apex body of exporter importers, and in return ask them to recommend you. And that's a great idea. When we are running Click Lawyer, one thing I did was I created certain posters. Okay, I framed the posters, and in that I wrote that, okay, between this time to this time every week you can call us if you have any legal questions. Okay, so, and we gave it to different kind of co-working spaces, co-working spaces where a lot of companies, startups are there. So he gave it to them and said, then you put it up there that if anybody needs legal advice and they see this poster, they'll call us. There's like office hour every week for 1 hour. Anybody can call us at that time and get free legal advice, right? During that 1 hour period every week. And that was like really, that gave us several people, and people will call for free advice, we'll give them free advice. But free advice leads to paid work, because how much how much, like, even if I tell our client everything that they need to do, they will need somebody to execute that work, and it's not like they just can't do everything on their own. So I am a big believer of giving a lot of free advice. There's no shortage. Like, you tell somebody everything. A lot of lawyers hold back. They think that, by telling everything to the client, they're losing out on something. I don't think so. Because if you are able to give that value to somebody, I don't see why they would not come back to you when they really want value added work, right? For something that they can pay for, they will happily come to you at that time. Okay.